I found out my wife had another family the day she asked me for a divorce. "We need to talk about something," she said, standing in the doorway with her purse still on her shoulder, and I knew before she finished the sentence that my life was ending. My hands were in sudsy water. I was washing our daughter's breakfast plate, the one with the faded princesses on it. Let me tell you how it happened, because no one else knows the truth yet. For 12 years, I thought I knew what love looked like. It looked like Clara standing at the kitchen counter on Sunday mornings, flour dusting her forearms as she rolled out pie dough. It looked like her humming, always off-key, always the same 3 songs on rotation, while she moved through rooms. It looked like the way she'd reach for my hand in movie theaters, even during the boring parts, even after a decade of marriage when we were supposed to stop doing things like that. We met at a bookstore. I know, it sounds like something from a movie, but it's true. I was 26, she was 24. I'd just moved to Denver for work, software development, boring but stable, and I was killing time on a Saturday afternoon, wandering the aisles with no particular destination. She was in the poetry section, pulling books off the shelf one at a time, reading a few lines, then putting them back. She had this little crease between her eyebrows when she concentrated. I watched her for maybe 5 minutes before I worked up the courage to say something stupid about Neruda. She laughed. Not a polite laugh, but a real one that made her throw her head back slightly. We had coffee, then dinner. Then 3 years of dating that felt like the opening credits to the rest of my life. We got married at her parents' house in Boulder. Small wedding, 40 people. Her mother cried through the entire ceremony. Her father, Samuel, shook my hand so hard I thought my bones would crack, then pulled me into a hug and whispered, "Take care of my girl." I promised I would. Our first apartment was a cramped 1-bedroom in Capitol Hill. The floors creaked. The radiator clanged. The neighbors upstairs fought at 2 in the morning, every morning. We loved it anyway. Clara painted the bathroom mint green without asking the landlord. We bought mismatched furniture from thrift stores and garage sales. We had sex on the kitchen counter, against the wall in the hallway, in the shower with water running cold because we couldn't stop laughing long enough to get out. She worked as a graphic designer. Freelance, mostly. She'd take over the dining table with her laptop and sketches and color swatches, and I'd kiss the top of her head every time I walked past. Sometimes she'd work until 3 in the morning, fueled by tea and stubbornness. I'd wake up to find her asleep at the table, face pressed against her sketchbook, and I'd carry her to bed. We talked about everything. Politics, religion, whether we'd ever leave Colorado, what we'd name our kids someday. She told me about her childhood, the way her mother used to braid her hair every morning before school, the way her father taught her to ride a bike by running alongside her for hours until his knees gave out. She told me about the cousin who died when she was 14, the first funeral she ever attended, how she'd stood outside the church afterward and couldn't stop staring at the sky because it seemed wrong that it was still blue. I told her about my parents' divorce when I was 8, about the way my mother used to cry in the bathroom with the fan on so I wouldn't hear, about the therapist I saw in high school who told me I had attachment issues and how I'd spent my 20s proving her wrong by keeping everyone at arm's length until Clara. "I'm not going anywhere," Clara said one night, tracing circles on my chest with her fingertip. We were in bed, the room dark except for the streetlight glow through the curtains. "You know that, right? I'm not your mother. I'm not leaving." I believed her. When she got pregnant 3 years into our marriage, we both cried. Happy tears, scared tears, the kind that blur together until you can't tell which is which. We moved to a 2-bedroom in Highlands. We painted the nursery yellow because we wanted to be surprised. We read parenting books and took classes and argued good-naturedly about whether or not to co-sleep. Mira was born on a Tuesday in October. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. She had Clara's nose and my dark hair. When the nurse placed her in my arms, I understood for the first time why people use the word miracle without irony. Clara looked exhausted and radiant and terrified. I kissed her forehead and told her she was amazing. "We made a person," she whispered, staring at Mira with something like awe. We did. Those first few years were hard in the way everyone warns you about, but you can't really prepare for. Sleep deprivation. Endless diaper changes. The low-grade anxiety that comes with being responsible for something so small and fragile. But they were also beautiful. Myra's first smile. Her first word, "Mama," which made Clara tear up. The way she'd fall asleep on my chest, her tiny hand curled against my collarbone. Clara was an incredible mother. Patient in ways I couldn't be. She'd sit on the floor with Mira for hours, building block towers just to knock them down. She'd make up songs and stories. She'd turn every bath into an adventure, every meal into a game. Watching her with our daughter made me fall in love with her all over again. We had routines. Sunday mornings, Clara made pancakes and Mira would stand on a chair beside her, helping by adding chocolate chips to the batter. Tuesday nights, I'd pick up Thai food on my way home from work and we'd eat on the couch while Mira played with her toys. Bedtime was at 7:30. Always, Clara would read 2 books. I'd sing one song, badly, and then we'd tuck Mira in together. After Mira was asleep, Clara and I would finally have time to breathe. We'd sit on the back porch with wine or tea. We'd talk about our days, about nothing, about everything. Sometimes we'd just sit in comfortable silence, her head on my shoulder, my hand in hers. "I love our life," she said once, out of nowhere. Me too. Do you ever think about how lucky we are? All the time. I meant it. I looked at other couples, friends who fought constantly, coworkers going through messy divorces, and I felt grateful. We weren't perfect. We bickered about whose turn it was to do dishes or take out the trash. We had disagreements about money, about how to discipline Mira, about whether to take a vacation or save for a bigger house. But we always worked it out. We always came back to each other. Clara's design business grew steadily. She landed a few corporate clients, started making decent money. We talked about her opening a real studio space someday, maybe hiring an assistant. She was talented, driven. I was proud of her. When Mira started preschool, Clara had more time to work. She'd drop Mira off at 8, come home, and disappear into her office, the second bedroom we'd converted, for hours. Sometimes she'd take meetings downtown. She'd come back energized, telling me about new projects, new possibilities. "I met with a potential client today," she'd say, setting her bag down, her eyes bright. "Big company. They're looking to rebrand entirely." "That's amazing. Tell me everything." And she would. She'd talk about color palettes and logo concepts and target demographics, and I'd listen because I loved seeing her excited. I loved that she had something that was hers, separate from being a wife and mother. It felt healthy, balanced. On weekends, we'd take Mira to the park or the zoo or the children's museum. We'd go hiking when the weather was good. We'd visit Clara's parents for dinner at least once a month. Samuel would grill burgers and tell the same stories he'd told 100 times. Clara's mother, Grace, would fuss over Mira, spoiling her with cookies and toys. "You've built a good life," Samuel told me once, the two of us standing by the grill while the women were inside. "I'm proud of you. Both of you." "Thank you," I said, and I felt the weight of his approval like a blessing. Life wasn't exciting, not in the dramatic sense. It was ordinary, predictable, safe, and I loved it. I loved coming home to the same place every night. I loved knowing what to expect. I loved the rhythms we'd created, the little universe we'd built for the three of us. I thought Clara loved it too. She'd say things like, "I can't imagine being anywhere else," or "This is exactly what I wanted," and I'd believe her because why wouldn't I? She seemed happy. She smiled easily. She laughed at my jokes. She initiated sex more often than I did. She told me she loved me every single day, in the morning before work, at night before sleep, sometimes randomly in the middle of dinner. "Love you," she'd say, her hand on my arm as she reached for the salt. "Love you too." It was reflex by then. Muscle memory. But it was also true. There were moments, small ones, easy to dismiss, when I'd catch her staring at her phone with an expression I couldn't quite read. Or she'd be late coming home from a meeting and wouldn't offer much explanation beyond "Traffic was terrible." Or she'd get a text and smile in a way that felt private, then tuck the phone away quickly. But I didn't think much of it. Everyone has their own internal world. Everyone is entitled to private thoughts, private smiles. Marriage doesn't mean you get access to every corner of someone's mind. Besides, Clara had always been a little mysterious. Even in the beginning, there was something about her that felt just slightly out of reach. Like she was showing me 90% of herself and keeping 10% locked away. I found it attractive, that sense that I'd never fully know her, that she'd always surprise me. I didn't realize that 10% was an entire separate life. The first crack. It started small. A name. Owen. Clara mentioned him once, maybe 6 months before everything fell apart. We were in the car, driving back from her parents' house, Mira asleep in the back seat. Clara was scrolling through her phone, responding to emails, and she laughed at something. "What's funny?" I asked. "Oh, just Owen being Owen," she said, still smiling at the screen. "Who's Owen?" She glanced up, and for just a second, less than a second, really her face did something strange. A flicker of hesitation. Then it smoothed out. "A client," she said. "I told you about him, remember? The rebranding project?" "Oh, right." I didn't remember, but I also wasn't keeping track of every client she mentioned. She had a lot of them. They all started to blur together after a while. "He's kind of a character," she continued, tucking her phone into her purse. "Keeps changing his mind about the logo. Drives me crazy, but in a funny way. Sounds annoying." "Yeah." She looked out the window. "But he pays well, so..." And that was it. I didn't think about it again. But then his name came up again a few weeks later. We were having breakfast, Mira chattering about something that happened at preschool, and Clara's phone buzzed on the table. She picked it up, read the message, and sighed. "Owen?" I asked, joking. "How'd you guess?" She typed a quick response, set the phone face down. "He wants to meet tomorrow to go over the designs again. 3rd time this month." "Maybe he has a crush on you," I said, grinning. Clara laughed, but it sounded forced. "Please. He's not my type." "What is your type?" She reached across the table, squeezed my hand. "You, obviously." I squeezed back. Finished my coffee. Went to work. But the name kept appearing. In passing, always casual. Owen loved the new mock-ups. Owen wants to add another element to the design. I have a meeting with Owen this afternoon. I started to notice a pattern. She mentioned him more than any other client. And when she did, her tone would change slightly lighter, more animated. Like she was talking about a friend, not a professional contact. One night, I asked about it. "You talk about Owen a lot," I said. We were in bed, both reading me a novel, her a design blog on her tablet. She looked over at me. "Do I?" "Yeah. I mean, it's fine, I just..." "Is he your only client or something?" "No." She set the tablet down. "He's just demanding. Takes up a lot of headspace, I guess." "Is the project almost done?" "Should be. Another month or so." "Good. Maybe then you'll stop stressing about him." "Yeah." She picked the tablet back up. "Maybe." The conversation ended there, but something about it sat wrong with me. I couldn't pinpoint why. It wasn't jealousy exactly. It was more like a door I didn't know existed had cracked open slightly, and I'd glimpsed something on the other side that didn't make sense. A few weeks later, Clara started staying late at the office more often. She'd text around 5 or 6, running behind. "Don't wait on me for dinner." It wasn't unusual. She'd done it before when deadlines were tight. But the frequency increased. Once a week became twice a week, became 3 times a week. "Busy season?" I asked one evening when she got home at 9, Mira already in bed. "Yeah." She dropped her bag, kicked off her shoes. "Sorry. This project is killing me. Owen?" Among others. She went straight to the shower. Came out 20 minutes later in pajamas, hair wet, and climbed into bed without eating. She fell asleep within minutes, her back to me. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling uneasy for reasons I couldn't name. The next morning, I was making coffee when I saw her phone on the counter. It buzzed, a text notification. I glanced at it reflexively. The preview said, "Miss you already." No name, just a phone number. My stomach did something strange. I picked up the phone, unlocked it. Her passcode was Myra's birthday. We'd always known each other's codes, and opened the message. But the thread was gone, like it had been deleted. I scrolled through her messages. Nothing unusual. Texts from me, from her mother, from a few clients. Nothing from Owen. Nothing from any unsaved numbers. I set the phone down. Told myself I was being paranoid. But the unease didn't go away. I started paying closer attention. Not snooping, exactly. Just noticing. Clara's schedule became increasingly erratic. She'd be gone all day Saturday for a meeting, come home exhausted. She'd take phone calls in the other room, her voice low. She'd close her laptop quickly if I walked into her office unexpectedly. "Everything okay?" I'd ask. "Fine. Just work stuff." One night, I asked if I could see what she was working on. Just out of curiosity, I liked seeing her designs, and it had been a while since she'd shown me anything. "Oh, she hesitated. "It's not ready yet. Client confidentiality and all that." "Since when do you care about that with me?" "It's a new policy. The company made me sign an NDA." "That seems extreme." She shrugged. "Big corporations. You know how it is." I didn't push it. But I also didn't believe her. Another week passed. Then a month. The distance between us grew, subtle but undeniable. Clara was physically present, still made pancakes on Sundays, still tucked Mira in, still said, "I love you," but there was a blankness in her eyes sometimes, like she was somewhere else entirely. "Are we okay?" I asked one night. We were on the couch, a few inches of space between us. She was on her phone. She looked up, startled. "What?" "Of course." "Why?" "I don't know. You seem distracted." "I'm just stressed." "Work. Is there anything I can do to help?" "No." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I'm fine. Really." I wanted to believe her. So I did. Then I found the receipt. It was stupid, the way it happened. I was looking for my wallet, thought I'd left it in Clara's car, and I opened the glove compartment. There was a crumpled receipt from a restaurant. Italian place downtown. Date was from 3 weeks ago, a Thursday night. I'd been home that Thursday. Clara had said she was working late. The receipt showed 2 entrees, 2 glasses of wine, dessert. My hands started shaking. I took a picture of it with my phone, put it back where I found it, went inside. Clara was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. Mira was at the table, coloring. "Hey," Clara said, glancing up. "Did you find your wallet?" "Yeah, I lied. It was in my jacket." "Good." I stood there, watching her. She looked normal. Completely, utterly normal. How could she look normal? How was your day? I asked. Fine. Long. Yours? Same. I wanted to ask about the receipt. I wanted to ask about Owen. I wanted to ask why she was lying to me. But Mira was right there, humming to herself, and I couldn't do it. Not in front of her. So I swallowed it. Helped with dinner. Played with Mira. Tucked her into bed. And later, when Clara was asleep beside me, I lay awake in the dark, feeling like I was drowning. The tipping point. I started checking. I hated myself for it, but I couldn't stop. When Clara was in the shower, I'd look through her phone. When she was out, I'd search her office. I felt like a stranger in my own home, moving through rooms with my heart pounding, opening drawers and looking through papers like a detective in a bad TV show. I found more receipts. More restaurants. A hotel, just once, but it was there. A credit card statement showing charges in places she'd never mentioned visiting. I found nothing concrete. No explicit texts, no love letters, no photographs. She was careful. Or I was looking in the wrong places. One Saturday, Clara said she had a meeting. She'd be gone most of the day. On Saturday? I asked. Yeah, clients only available on weekends. Which client? Owen. Of course it was. After she left, I put Mira in front of a movie and went into Clara's office. I opened her laptop, same password, still Myra's birthday, and started going through her files. Design projects, invoices, emails with clients. Everything looked legitimate. Then I opened her personal email account. Most of it was boring. Newsletters, receipts, spam. But there was a folder I'd never noticed before, labeled Archive. I clicked it. Hundreds of emails. All from the same address. Email protected. I opened the most recent one. I can't do this anymore. We need to tell them. My vision blurred. I scrolled up. Read another. Every time I leave you, I feel like I'm abandoning myself. How is that fair to anyone? Another. He asked me yesterday if everything was okay. I lied. I've been lying for so long I don't remember what the truth feels like. I kept reading. Months of emails. Years, maybe. They were love letters. Confessions. Plans for a future that didn't include me. And then I found one with an attachment. I clicked it. A photograph opened. Clara, smiling, holding a little boy on her hip. The boy looked maybe 3 years old. Dark curly hair. Her eyes. Standing next to her was a man. Tall, brown hair, handsome in an unremarkable way. His arm was around her waist. They looked like a family. The file name was Christmas2022.jpg. I stared at the photo until my eyes burned. Then I heard the front door open. Daddy, Mira called. Mommy's home. I closed the laptop. Stood up. My legs felt weak. Clara appeared in the doorway, smiling. Hey, I'm back early. Owen had to cancel. I looked at her. This woman I'd loved for 12 years. This woman I'd built a life with. This woman who was a stranger. We need to talk, I said. Her smile faltered. About what? I know. Know what? Clara. Please. She went very still. Then she closed the door behind her, leaving Mira in the living room. What do you think you know? She asked quietly. Who is Owen? She didn't answer. Who is the little boy in the picture? Her face crumpled. You went through my email. Who is he? You had no right. Who is he? She flinched. I'd never yelled at her before. Not like that. His name is Henry, she whispered. He's my son. The room tilted. Your son. Yes. You have another son. Yes. I couldn't breathe. And Owen. She closed her eyes. He's their father. I sat down on the edge of the desk. My entire body felt numb. How long? I asked. Please. How long, Clara? 8 years. 8 years. 8 years. You've been with him for 8 years. It's not like that. Then what is it like? Explain it to me. Because I'm trying really fucking hard to understand how my wife has an entire second family and I had no idea. She was crying now, mascara running down her face. It wasn't supposed to happen. What wasn't supposed to happen? The affair? The child? The 8 goddamn years of lies. I love you. Don't. I do. I love you and Mira more than anything. You have another child. I was shouting again. I couldn't help it. You have another partner. Another fucking life. It's complicated. No, it's not. You made a choice. Every single day for 8 years, you made a choice. She sank to the floor, sobbing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I looked at her. Really looked at her. And I didn't recognize anything. Is that why you're here? I asked. To apologize? She shook her head. I came home to talk to you. I've been trying to find the right time. The right time. I want a divorce. The words hung in the air. You want a divorce, I repeated. Yes. Because of him. Because I can't keep living like this. I can't keep splitting myself in half. So you're choosing him. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. I stood up. Walked past her. Opened the door. Daddy? Mira was standing in the hallway, her eyes wide. Why are you yelling? I knelt down, pulled her into a hug. I'm sorry, baby. Everything's okay. But it wasn't. And she knew it. Kids always know. The betrayal. Clara left that night. Packed a bag. Kissed Mira. Told her she'd see her soon. Mira cried. Asked why Mommy was leaving. I didn't know what to say. Mommy just needs to go somewhere for a little bit, I said, my voice shaking. But she'll be back. She loves you so much. Clara stood in the doorway, her bag over her shoulder, looking at me with red eyes. We'll talk tomorrow. There's nothing to talk about. About Mira. Custody. We need to figure things out. You should have thought about that before you built a second life. She flinched. Then she was gone. I put Mira to bed, held her until she fell asleep, then went to the kitchen and poured myself a drink. Then another. Then another. I sat at the table and opened my laptop. Went back to Clara's email. I read everything. The emails stretched back 8 years, like she'd said. They started casual, friendly, professional. Then flirty. Then intimate. Then desperate. Owen was a widower. His wife had died in a car accident, leaving him with a 1-year-old son. He'd hired Clara to design a logo for his small business, something to do with carpentry, custom furniture. They'd met in person. Connected. You understand what it's like to feel alone even when you're not, he'd written in an early email. My wife is gone, and you're married to someone you can't fully reach. Maybe we're both just looking for someone to see us. I see you, Clara had written back. It spiraled from there. They met for coffee. Then lunch. Then dinners that stretched into late nights. They kissed in his car. She went to his house after Mira was asleep, and I thought she was working. She helped him take care of Henry, fed him, bathed him, read him stories. She fell in love. With both of them. And then she got pregnant. I found the email where she told him. She'd been terrified. Didn't know how it happened. She was on birth control, she said, but nothing's foolproof. She didn't know what to do. Owen had been supportive. Told her they'd figure it out together. She'd considered leaving me then. But she didn't. She stayed. Had the baby. Told Owen she needed time. Time to what? Decide? The baby was a girl. She named her June. June was 4 years old now. 4 years old, and I'd never even known she existed. Clara had been living 2 lives, 2 homes, 2 partners, 2 sets of children. She'd split her time carefully, crafting excuses for both of us. Work trips. Late meetings. errands that took longer than expected. She'd been exhausted, she wrote in one email. She couldn't keep it up forever. Something had to give. But she loved us both, she said. How could she choose? Except she had chosen. She'd chosen him. I kept reading. There were photos. So many photos. Clara and Owen on a hiking trail, Henry on Owen's shoulders. Clara and June at a park, the little girl grinning at the camera. The four of them together at what looked like a birthday party, a cake with candles in the shape of a number 3. They looked happy, like a real family. I felt like I was looking at a stranger's life. Except the woman in the photos was my wife. I found references to Owen's family. His parents knew about Clara. They liked her, called her their daughter-in-law, even though she was married to me. Did anyone else know? Her parents? Friends? I opened a new browser tab. Searched for Owen's name, Owen Clark, according to the emails. Found a Facebook profile. His page was full of photos. Him and Henry. Him and June. Him and Clara, her face turned away from the camera, but unmistakably hers. His relationship status said it's complicated. I laughed. A bitter, broken sound. There were comments on his posts. Friends congratulating him on his beautiful family. Relatives asking when he and Clara were going to make it official. Everyone knew. Everyone except me. I searched for Clara's name. Found a second Facebook profile I'd never seen before. Different last name, her maiden name, Winters. It was a whole separate life. Different friends. Different photos. In every single one, she was with Owen and the kids. Smiling. Looking happy. Looking like she was exactly where she wanted to be. I started shaking. Then I was on my feet, pacing the kitchen, pulling at my hair. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break something. I wanted to call her and beg her to tell me this was all a terrible joke. But it wasn't a joke. It was real. All of it. My phone buzzed. A text from Clara. I know you're angry. I don't expect you to forgive me. But please don't punish Mira for this. She needs both of us. I stared at the message. Then I threw the phone across the room. It hit the wall and shattered. I sank to the floor, my back against the cabinets, and sobbed. The next few days were a blur. I called in sick to work. Couldn't function. Couldn't think. Spent most of my time staring at walls or lying in bed or drinking until I passed out. Mira kept asking when Mommy was coming home. I told her soon. I didn't know what else to say. Clara called from a different number. Left voicemails I didn't listen to. Her mother called. What's going on? Clara says you two are separating. What happened? Ask her, I said, and hung up. Then Samuel called. Son, talk to me. What can I do? Nothing, I said. There's nothing anyone can do. Is this about another man? I laughed. You could say that. Clara made a mistake. People make mistakes. You can work through this. Did you know? Silence. Did you know she had another family? I asked. More silence. Samuel. Did you know? We suspected something, he said finally. Grace thought Clara might be seeing someone. But we didn't know about children. How long did you suspect? A year. Maybe more. And you didn't tell me. It wasn't our place. It wasn't your place, I repeated. Your daughter was living a double life, lying to me every single day, and it wasn't your place to tell me the truth. We thought she'd come to you on her own. She did. To ask for a divorce. I hung up. Blocked his number. Blocked Grace's number. Blocked everyone who might have known and said nothing. I spent hours going through our house, looking at everything with new eyes. The photos on the walls, were any of them real? The gifts she'd given me, had she bought them with him? The bed we'd slept in, had she thought about him while lying next to me? I found her wedding ring on the bathroom counter. She'd left it behind. I picked it up, held it in my palm. Such a small thing. Such a small, meaningless thing. I threw it in the trash. A week after Clara left, she showed up at the house. I let her in because Mira was there and I didn't want to fight in front of her. I want to see her, Clara said. Fine. She's in her room. Clara went upstairs. I stayed in the kitchen, gripping the counter so hard my knuckles went white. When Clara came back down, Mira was with her, holding her hand. We're going to get ice cream, Clara said. I'll bring her back in an hour. 2 hours, I said. You owe her 2 hours at least. Clara nodded. Okay. After they left, I went upstairs to Myra's room. There was a photo on her nightstand, one of the 3 of us at the zoo, taken last summer. Mira was on my shoulders. Clara was beside us, smiling up at the camera. I picked it up, stared at Clara's face, tried to find some sign, some hint that she was lying. But there was nothing, just a woman who looked happy. I put the photo face down and left the room. 2 weeks in, I got a call from a lawyer. Mr. Hayes. A woman's voice, professional and detached. Yes. My name is Rachel Diaz. I'm representing Clara Hayes, Clara Winters, in her divorce proceedings. She asked me to reach out to discuss custody arrangements and asset division. I closed my eyes. She hired a lawyer. Yes, sir. I understand this is difficult. Difficult, I repeated. Mr. Hayes, I know emotions are running high, but it's in everyone's best interest to handle this as amicably as possible, especially for your daughter's sake. Mrs. Winters is proposing joint custody with a 50-50 split. No. I'm sorry. No. She doesn't get 50%. She barely gets anything. Mr. Hayes, in Colorado, both parents have equal rights. She has 2 other children. With another man, while we were married. Does that factor into your legal equation? Silence. I'll take that as a no, I said. Tell Clara if she wants to see Mira, she can come by the house. Supervised visits only. And tell her I'm hiring my own lawyer. I hung up. I did hire a lawyer. A man named David Chin who came highly recommended and had a reputation for being ruthless. Here's the situation, I said, sitting across from him in his office. My wife had an affair for 8 years. She has 2 children with the other man. I found out 2 weeks ago. She wants a divorce and joint custody of our daughter. David's eyebrows went up. 2 children. Yes. And you had no idea? None. He leaned back in his chair, tapping a pen against his desk. That's remarkable. In the worst possible way. Can I use this? In court? Absolutely. Adultery isn't technically grounds for denying custody in Colorado, but it speaks to character. And the deception, hiding 2 children for years, that could be seen as a pattern of dishonesty that might affect her fitness as a parent. I don't want to hurt Mira, I said. But I also can't let Clara just walk away from this with no consequences. I understand. We'll build a case. Document everything. And Mr. Hayes? I need you to prepare yourself. This is going to get ugly. He was right. Clara fought back hard. Her lawyer painted me as vindictive, controlling, unwilling to accept that marriage's end. They argued that Clara's relationship with Owen had no bearing on her ability to parent Mira. They brought up the fact that I'd gone through her private emails without permission. He violated my privacy, Clara said on the stand during one of our preliminary hearings, her voice steady. He went through my personal communications, my computer, my phone. That's not the behavior of a stable person. I sat there, listening, feeling like I was in some alternate reality where I was the villain. My lawyer countered with evidence. The 8 years of lies. The secret family. The fact that Clara had been dividing her time, resources, and emotional energy between 2 households while pretending to be a devoted wife and mother. Mrs. Winters, David said during cross-examination, can you tell the court how many nights per week you spent with Mr. Clark and your other children during the past year? Clara hesitated. It varied. On average, maybe 3 or 4. 3 or 4 nights per week. And the rest with your husband and daughter. Yes. So you were spending more time with your second family than your first? I wouldn't characterize it that way. How would you characterize it? She didn't have an answer. But it didn't matter. The judge wasn't interested in moral judgments. He was interested in what was best for Mira. And what was best for Mira, he said, was having both parents in her life. Joint custody. 50-50 split. I wanted to scream. The first time Clara took Mira for her week, I stood in the driveway and watched them drive away. Mira waved from the back seat, excited because Mommy said they were going somewhere special. I went inside. The house was silent. I'd never been alone in the house before. Not like this. Even when Clara was working late or out of town, I'd had Mira. There'd been noise, purpose, distraction. Now there was nothing. I walked through the rooms. Everything looked the same, but it all felt different. Haunted by the ghost of what I thought my life was. I ended up in our bedroom. Sat on the edge of the bed. Clara's side was still made, untouched since she left. Her pillow still smelled like her shampoo. I picked it up and threw it across the room. Then I went to her closet. Started pulling out her clothes, the ones she hadn't taken with her yet. Dresses, sweaters, jeans. I threw them on the floor. Kept going until the closet was empty and I was standing in the middle of a pile of fabric, breathing hard. My phone rang. It was Mira calling from Clara's number. Hi, baby, I said, forcing my voice to sound normal. Daddy, guess what? Mommy says I have a brother and a sister. My heart stopped. What? A brother named Henry and a sister named June. Isn't that cool? Mommy says they've wanted to meet me forever. I couldn't speak. Daddy? Are you there? I'm here. Are you okay? You sound weird. I'm fine, sweetheart. I'm just surprised. Me too. I always wanted a brother and sister. And Mommy says they're really nice. We're going to have a sleepover. That's great, Mira. I have to go. We're making pizza. Love you, Daddy. Love you too. She hung up. I stood there, phone in my hand, feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach. Clara had introduced them. On the first day, she'd just merged the families. Like it was nothing. Like it was normal. I called her. Hello. Her voice was cautious. What the fuck are you doing? I know you're upset. You told her. You told Mira about them on the first goddamn day. She was going to meet them eventually. I thought it was better to be honest. Honest? You don't get to use that word. You don't get to talk about honesty. She's happy, Clara said. She likes them. They like her. This is good for everyone. This is good for you. You get to play house with your real family and pretend like the last 12 years didn't happen. That's not fair. I don't care about fair. I care about Mira. And you just dropped a bomb on her without even asking me. I'm her mother. I don't need your permission to introduce her to her siblings. They're not her siblings. They're the children you had with the man you were fucking behind my back. Silence. I'll bring her back on Sunday, Clara said quietly. As agreed. She hung up. I threw the phone again. This time it didn't break. I almost wished it had. The weeks that followed were a nightmare of logistics and pretending. Mira would come home from Clara's full of stories about Henry and June, about the things they did together, about how Owen taught her to use a hammer and Clara let them all make cookies, and they watched movies and played games. She'd ask why I never came over. Mommy says you're always welcome, she said one night at dinner. That's nice of her, I said, cutting her chicken into smaller pieces. But Daddy has work to do here. Don't you like Henry and June? I've never met them, baby. You should. They're so fun. And Owen is really nice. He makes funny voices when he reads stories. Every word was a knife. I'd smile and nod and ask questions and act like everything was fine, and then after Mira went to bed, I'd sit in the dark and drink until I couldn't feel anything. I lost weight. Stopped sleeping. Stopped shaving. My boss called me in for a meeting. "Is everything all right?" he asked, concern in his eyes. "Your work has been inconsistent lately." "I'm going through a divorce," I said. "I'm sorry to hear that. Do you need some time off?" "No. I need to work." Work was the only thing that kept me from falling apart completely. When I was coding, fixing bugs, attending meetings, I could pretend I was normal. I could pretend my life wasn't in ruins. But then I'd come home to an empty house half the time anyway, and it would all come crashing back. Friends reached out. People who'd heard through the grapevine that Clara and I were splitting up. "I'm so sorry, man," my friend Lucas said over beer one night. "What happened?" "She cheated," I said simply. "Shit. For how long?" 8 years. He choked on his drink. 8 years? Yeah. Jesus Christ. Did you know? No. How did you find out? I told him. The whole story. The emails, the photos, the secret children, everything. Lucas stared at me. "That's insane. That's actually insane. How is that even possible?" "I don't know. But she did it. Are you okay?" I laughed. No, I'm not okay. I don't think I'll ever be okay again." Lucas didn't know what to say. Nobody did. 3 months after Clara left, I got a call from Samuel. "I know you don't want to hear from me," he said, "but I need to talk to you. Please." I almost hung up, but something in his voice stopped me. "What?" "Grace is sick. Cancer. Stage 4. The doctors say she has maybe 6 months." I closed my eyes. "I'm sorry. She wants to see Mira. And she wants to see you. To apologize. Samuel. Please. She's dying. Let her say what she needs to say." I didn't want to go. Didn't want to see them. Didn't want to hear excuses or apologies or justifications. But Grace was dying. And she'd been good to me before all this. "I'll bring Mira," I said. On Sunday. Grace looked like a ghost. She'd always been thin, but now she was skeletal. Her hair was gone from chemo. Her skin was gray. She cried when she saw Mira. "My sweet girl," she whispered, holding Myra's hand. "You're so big now." Mira was scared. I could tell. But she was brave. She hugged her grandmother carefully. "Hi, Grandma," she said softly. "Hi, baby." Samuel took Mira into the other room to give us privacy. Grace looked at me. "I'm sorry," she said. "For what?" "For knowing. For not telling you." I nodded. "Why didn't you?" "Because I thought it was Clara's mess to clean up. I thought she'd end it on her own. I didn't realize how deep it went until it was too late." "How long did you know?" 2 years. Maybe 3. I found a photo on her phone once when she left it at our house. Confronted her. She broke down, told me everything. Begged me not to tell Samuel, not to tell you. Said she was trying to figure out how to end it. But she didn't end it. No. Grace's eyes filled with tears. She didn't. And I should have told you. I should have done something. But she's my daughter, and I wanted to protect her, even though what she was doing was wrong. "She had 2 more children," I said. "After you knew. Did you know about them?" "No. I swear I didn't. I thought it was just an affair. I didn't know about Henry until after you found out. And I had no idea about June." I believed her. Or maybe I just wanted to. "I failed you," Grace said. "I failed both of you. And I'm sorry. I know it doesn't change anything. But I needed you to know." I looked at this dying woman who'd been my mother-in-law for 12 years, who'd welcomed me into her family, who'd kept a secret that destroyed my life. I forgive you, I said. And I meant it. Because what else was I supposed to do? She was dying. And anger takes energy I didn't have. Grace died 6 weeks later. Clara called to tell me. She was crying so hard I could barely understand her. I know you hate me, she sobbed. But she's gone. My mom is gone. I'm sorry, I said. And I was. Will you come to the funeral? For Mira. Yes. The funeral was surreal. Clara stood at the front with Owen beside her, his arm around her waist. Henry and June were there, dressed in black. They looked like the perfect grieving family. Mira sat between me and Samuel, confused by all the sadness. I watched Clara give the eulogy. She talked about her mother's strength, her kindness, her love. She talked about how Grace taught her what it meant to be a mother. I wanted to laugh, or scream, or both. After the service, people came up to me. Extended family, friends of Grace's who'd known me when things were good. I'm so sorry about everything, they'd say, their eyes full of pity. Thank you, I'd reply, because what else was there to say? Owen approached me at one point. He stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets, looking uncomfortable. I'm sorry for your loss, he said. I looked at him. Really looked at him. This was the man Clara had chosen. This was the man she'd loved enough to blow up her entire life for. He looked ordinary. Normal. He didn't look like a homewrecker or a villain. He just looked like a guy. Thank you, I said flatly. I know this is awkward. You don't know anything about me. He nodded. You're right. I wanted to say I never meant for things to happen this way. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did. I know. And I'm sorry. You're sorry, I repeated. You had an affair with my wife for 8 years. You have 2 children with her. And you're sorry. Yes. I stepped closer to him. Did you know about me? When it started. He hesitated. Yes. And you didn't care. I cared. But I loved her. I love her. And I couldn't walk away. You could have, I said. You just didn't want to. He didn't argue. I walked away before I did something I'd regret. The fallout. The year after Grace died was the hardest year of my life. I moved through days like a robot. Woke up, got Mira ready for school on my weeks, went to work, came home, made dinner, helped with homework, put her to bed. On Clara's weeks, I worked late, came home to an empty house, microwaved something or ordered takeout, and drank until I could sleep. I stopped seeing friends. Stopped answering calls. Stopped pretending I was okay. My sister, Ruth, flew out from Boston after I ignored her messages for 3 weeks straight. She showed up at my door unannounced on a Saturday. I opened it in sweatpants and a stained t-shirt, unshaven, probably smelling like alcohol. Jesus Christ, she said, pushing past me into the house. Ruth, what are you doing here? Saving your life, apparently. She looked around at the mess, dishes piled in the sink, laundry everywhere, takeout containers on the coffee table. When's the last time you cleaned? I don't know. Does it matter? Yes, it matters. You have a daughter. She's at Clara's this week. So you just let yourself fall apart when she's gone? I didn't answer. Ruth turned to face me, her expression softer. Talk to me. Please. I sank onto the couch. And for the first time since everything happened, I told someone the whole story. Everything. The emails, the photos, the other children, the custody battle, the funeral, all of it. Ruth listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was crying. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I had no idea it was this bad. It's worse than bad. I don't even have words for what it is. Are you seeing a therapist? No. You need to. I don't need someone to tell me my feelings are valid. I know they're valid. You need someone to help you process this. Because right now, you're drowning. She wasn't wrong. Ruth stayed for a week. She cleaned the house, filled the fridge with actual food, forced me to shower and shave. She made me call a therapist. I'll go to one appointment, I said. That's it. One appointment is a start. The therapist's name was Dr. Patel. She was in her 50s, kind eyes, patient voice. Tell me what brings you here, she said in our first session. I told her. Gave her the abbreviated version. Wife cheated, had secret family, wanted divorce. How are you coping? She asked. I'm not. Are you having thoughts of harming yourself? No. I have a daughter. I'd never do that to her. But you're struggling. Every single day. That's understandable. What you've experienced is profound betrayal and loss. Your entire reality was shattered. That's traumatic. It doesn't feel traumatic. It just feels pathetic. Like I'm the idiot who couldn't see what was right in front of him. You're not an idiot. Clara went to extraordinary lengths to hide this from you. That's not your failure, it's hers. I wanted to believe her. We talked for 50 minutes. At the end, she asked if I'd come back. I don't know. I think it would help. I went back. And again. And again. Slowly, so slowly, I barely noticed, things started to shift. Not better, exactly. Just different. Less raw. Less like I was bleeding out every second of every day. Dr. Patel helped me understand that grief doesn't follow a timeline. That some days I'd feel okay and other days I'd feel like I was drowning, and both were normal. She helped me see that I was mourning not just the end of my marriage, but the loss of who I thought Clara was. The loss of the life I thought we had. The loss of my own identity as Clara's husband. You're rebuilding yourself from scratch, she said. That's exhausting work. I don't know who I am anymore. That's okay. You'll figure it out. Mira started having nightmares. She'd wake up crying, calling for me. I'd go into her room, hold her while she sobbed. I dreamed Mommy went away forever, she'd say. She's not going away. She loves you. Why doesn't she live here anymore? Because sometimes adults can't live together anymore. But that doesn't mean she loves you any less. Do you still love Mommy? The question gutted me every time. I love who she was, I'd say carefully. But things changed. Because of Owen? It's complicated, baby. I like Owen. But I wish we all lived together. I know. She'd fall back asleep eventually, and I'd sit on the floor next to her bed, watching her breathe, hating Clara for doing this to her. I talked to Dr. Patel about it. Myra's processing this too, she said. She's trying to make sense of a situation that doesn't make sense. The best thing you can do is be consistent, be present, and be honest at an age-appropriate level. I don't know how to be honest without making Clara the villain. You don't have to make Clara the villain. But you also don't have to lie and say everything's fine. Kids know when you're lying. She was right. Mira knew. She could feel the tension, the grief, the anger I tried so hard to hide. One day, she came home from Clara's and climbed into my lap. Daddy, are you sad? Sometimes, I admitted. Because of Mommy? Yeah, me too. We sat there together, two people trying to survive the wreckage of someone else's choices. A year and a half after Clara left, I started trying to date. Not because I wanted to. Because Ruth insisted I needed to get back out there, and my therapist agreed that isolating myself wasn't healthy. I downloaded an app, swiped through profiles of women who looked nice and normal and entirely uninteresting. Went on a few dates that were awkward and hollow. One woman, Isabel, asked me on our second date why I got divorced. Long story, I said. I have time. I told her. Watched her face change from curiosity to shock to pity. That's awful, she said. I'm so sorry. Thanks. Do you still love her? I don't know. I love who I thought she was. But that person doesn't exist. Isabel reached across the table, squeezed my hand. You deserve better. I nodded. But I didn't believe it. There was no third date. Around the 2-year mark, Clara asked if we could talk. We met at a coffee shop. Neutral territory. She looked different. Hair shorter. New glasses. She looked happy, which made me irrationally angry. "Thanks for meeting me," she said. "What do you want?" "I want to talk about Mira. And us." "There is no us." "I know. But we're Myra's parents. We're going to be in each other's lives forever. And I think we need to find a way to make this less hostile. You want me to be friendly with you. I want us to be able to communicate without anger. For Myra's sake." I stared at her. "You destroyed my life. You lied to me for 8 years. You had 2 children with another man while pretending to be my wife. And now you want me to be civil. I know I hurt you. You didn't hurt me. You annihilated me." Her eyes filled with tears. "I never wanted that." "What did you want?" "I wanted both. I know that sounds terrible. But I loved you. I loved our life. And I also loved Owen. I loved our life with him. I didn't want to choose. But you did choose. You chose him." "I chose honesty," she said. "I couldn't keep lying. It was killing me." "It was killing you," I repeated. "Do you have any idea what it did to me?" "Yes. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this." "I know. But maybe we can find a way forward anyway." I wanted to tell her to go to hell. I wanted to walk out. But she was right about one thing. We were Myra's parents. And Mira loved both of us. And making this harder than it had to be would only hurt her. "Fine," I said. "We'll be civil. But don't expect friendship. Don't expect forgiveness. And don't ever ask me to come to your house or meet your other family. I don't want to know them. I don't want to see them. I don't want any part of that life." "Okay," she said quietly. We finished our coffee in silence. The slow reckoning. Time kept moving. Mira turned 8. Then 9. She grew taller, smarter, more perceptive. She stopped asking why we couldn't all live together. She stopped having nightmares. She adapted. Kids do. I adapted too. Slowly. Painfully. I learned how to cook real meals. I learned how to do Myra's hair in ways that didn't look terrible. I learned how to show up at her school events and stand near Clara without wanting to scream. I learned how to exist in this new reality. But some things still gutted me. Finding old photos and not knowing which memories were real. Hearing a song that used to be ours. Mira mentioning something June said or something Owen taught her. One day, Mira came home with a school project, a family tree. "I need help," she said, spreading papers across the kitchen table. "Okay, what do you need?" "I have to put everyone in my family on the tree. But I don't know how to do it because we have 2 families now." My chest tightened. "You can do it however feels right to you." She chewed her lip, thinking. Then she drew 2 separate trees. One had me, Clara, and her. The other had Clara, Owen, Henry, and June. "Like this?" she asked. "That looks good, baby." She looked up at me. "Where do I go?" "What do you mean?" "I'm in both trees." "Does that mean I belong to both?" "Yes, you belong to both. But which one is my real family?" I knelt down beside her. "They're both real. All of us love you. You don't have to choose." She nodded, but she looked sad. "I wish it wasn't like this." "Me too." 3 years after Clara left, I met someone. Her name was Naomi. We met at a work conference. She was a project manager for a tech company, funny, smart, with an easy smile and no interest in playing games. We talked for hours that first night. She told me about her divorce. Her ex-husband had been emotionally abusive. She'd finally found the courage to leave. I told her about Clara. Not everything, but enough. "That's brutal," she said. "I'm sorry. It was a long time ago. Doesn't mean it doesn't still hurt." She was right. We exchanged numbers. Started talking. Then dating. It was different from Clara, slower, more careful. But it was good. Naomi met Mira after 6 months. Mira liked her. They bonded over a shared love of bad reality TV and animals. "She's nice," Mira said after Naomi left one evening. "She is. Do you love her?" "I care about her a lot." "More than Mommy?" The question surprised me. "Differently than Mommy." "Okay." She paused. "I'm glad you're happy again, Daddy." "Thank you, sweetheart." I realized she was right. I was happy. Not all the time. Not in the way I'd been before. But in a quieter, steadier way. For years after Clara left, I got a call from Owen. "I hope this isn't weird," he said. "But I wanted to talk to you." "About what?" "I'm asking Clara to marry me. And I wanted to tell you first. Out of respect." I was silent for a long moment. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you were her husband. Because Mira is your daughter. Because we're going to be in each other's lives for a long time, and I want us to be on good terms if possible." "I don't want to be on good terms with you." "I understand. But I'm trying." "Trying to do what?" "Ease your conscience. Trying to do right by everyone involved." "I know I didn't before. But I want to now." I laughed bitterly. "You want me to give you my blessing?" "No. I just wanted you to hear it from me instead of from Mira." "I appreciate that," I said, though I didn't. "Congratulations." "Thank you." I hung up. Then I sat on the couch and stared at the wall for an hour. Clara was getting married. Moving on completely. Building the life she'd always wanted with him. And I was, what? Still here. Still processing. Still carrying the weight of what she'd done. Naomi came over that night. Found me quiet, distant. "What's wrong?" she asked. I told her. "How do you feel?" she asked carefully. "I don't know. Angry. Sad. Relieved maybe? Like it's finally actually over. It was over 4 years ago. I know. But this feels different. Final." She put her arms around me. "You're allowed to feel whatever you feel." I held on to her and let myself grieve again. Not for Clara. For the version of my life that had died when she walked out the door. Reflection. I'm 42 now. 5 years since Clara asked for a divorce. 5 years since my life imploded. People ask if I've moved on. I say yes, because it's easier than explaining the truth, that you don't really move on from something like this. You just learn to carry it differently. I married Naomi last year. Small ceremony. Mira was my best woman. She wore a dress she'd picked out herself and cried happy tears when we said our vows. Clara came to the wedding. With Owen, now her husband. They sat in the back, respectful and quiet. Afterward, Clara hugged me. "I'm happy for you," she said. "Thank you. I mean it. You deserve this." I didn't know what to say to that. Mira is 12 now. She splits her time between households seamlessly. She has relationships with Henry and June that I don't really understand but don't interfere with. She calls Owen by his first name, never Dad. She seems okay. I still see Dr. Patel once a month. Probably will forever. Some wounds need tending. I still have hard days. Days when I see something that reminds me of before, and I feel the loss all over again. Days when I wonder what my life would have looked like if Clara had told me the truth from the beginning. But I also have good days. Days when I wake up next to Naomi and feel grateful. Days when Mira and I laugh until our stomachs hurt. Days when I realize I've gone a whole week without thinking about Clara. I've learned things. Hard things. That love isn't enough if it's built on lies. That trust, once shattered, can't be fully restored. That people are capable of compartmentalizing in ways that seem impossible until you see it with your own eyes. I've learned that betrayal doesn't just hurt, it rewrites your history. Every memory becomes suspect. Every moment of happiness gets tainted with the question, was it real? I'll never know for sure. Clara says she loved me. Maybe she did, in her way. But it wasn't the kind of love that protects. It wasn't the kind of love that honors the person it claims to cherish. I've learned that anger can be useful. It kept me alive when grief threatened to drown me. But anger can also become a prison if you hold on to it too long. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or forgiving. It means deciding that the person who hurt you doesn't get to control your emotional landscape anymore. I've learned that healing isn't linear. It's messy and contradictory. You can feel happy and devastated in the same hour. You can love your new life and still grieve your old one. I've learned that children are more resilient than you think, but also more fragile. Mira survived this. But she carries scars I can't see. She'll be working through this in her own therapy someday, I'm sure. And I've learned that you can't prepare for betrayal. You can't see it coming when someone you love is determined to hide it. And that's not a failure on your part, it's a failure on theirs. Sometimes people ask if I regret marrying Clara. I don't. Because of Mira. Because of the years that were good before they weren't. Because I'm a different person now, harder in some ways, softer in others, and I wouldn't be this person without that pain. But I regret trusting so completely. I regret not noticing sooner. I regret the time I lost believing in something that wasn't real. Naomi knows I still carry this. She's patient with it. When I get quiet or distant, she doesn't push. She just sits with me, reminds me I'm safe, reminds me that what we have is different. I'm not her, she said more than once. I know. Do you though? Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. Trust is hard when you've learned how easily it can be weaponized against you. Last month, I ran into Samuel at the grocery store. We hadn't spoken in years. He looked older, tired. Grace's death had aged him. Hello, he said quietly. Hi. We stood there awkwardly, two people who used to be family. How's Mira? He asked. Good. Growing up too fast. They do that. He paused. I think about you sometimes. Wonder how you're doing. I'm okay. I'm glad. His eyes were sad. I'm sorry. For all of it. I know. Grace was too at the end. She talked about you. Said you deserved better. She was right. He nodded. Take care of yourself. You too. We went our separate ways. I don't hate him anymore. Or Grace. Or even Owen, really. Hate takes energy, and I've spent enough energy on this. Clara, though. That's more complicated. I don't hate her. But I don't love her either. She exists in this strange liminal space, the mother of my child, a person I see regularly, someone who shares my history but not my life. Sometimes I look at her and wonder who she really is. If I ever knew. If anyone does. Sometimes I look at her and just feel tired. I'm writing this late at night in the house I share with Naomi. Myra's asleep upstairs, home for the weekend. Naomi's beside me on the couch, reading a book, her feet tucked under my leg. This is my life now. It's not the life I planned. It's not the life I thought I'd have at 42. But it's mine. Built from the rubble of what came before. Imperfect. Complicated. Real. You okay? Naomi asks, glancing up from her book. Yeah, I say. I'm okay. And I am. In this moment, at least. That's all any of us get, moments strung together, some good, some bad, most somewhere in between. I close my laptop, lean over and kiss Naomi's forehead. Check on Mira one more time before bed. She's sprawled across her mattress, clutching her old stuffed elephant, peaceful. I climb into bed beside my wife, close my eyes. And for once, I fall asleep without remembering what it felt like to stand in that doorway with sudsy water on my hands, hearing the words that ended everything. Some truths you survive. This is mine.